it's me, Ash Beetson. Welcome to episode 8 of Comparing Bookkeeping Software, Sage Accounting, Zoho Books, FreeAgent, Xero and QuickBooks Online. And in this episode I'm taking a look at what we see when we actually just log in initially to our bookkeeping software. Sometimes even though you land on that page straight away, you can quite often overlook it. I know I do, because I'm logged in and I know exactly what I want to do. I want to go straight to the banking area, I want to go and create an invoice, and sometimes I don't actually pay that much attention to the first page, believe it or not. So it's going to be interesting to see some of the different options, dashboards, graphs that we see as we log in into these different sort of bookkeeping software applications. So we'll start with looking at Sage Accounting and see what we can see there. Okay, so when we do log into our Sage account, the first place you land is your sort of summary. You do have the summary made up of these different tabs. The first one being you get it started, which is different things that you might want to set up when you do get started, but you can actually turn that off, which is exactly what I'm going to do here, because everything's set up for me at the moment. So the first one that we have is quite a nice sort of sales graph, so we can see how our sales are performing so far. You can select the period at the top, see how those sales, each time you see one of these little dots reflects when actually invoices were raised. So there were no invoices raised on any of those days. I just put an invoice in yesterday, which is why I've got an extra little dot there. So that's pretty useful to begin with. And what we have below that in the sales, we can sort of see a list of our overdue invoices, and you can sort of click into that, and actually there's a little more option there. It gives us more information of our invoices. So I'll just come back. I've got no date ranges in there, so I'll just come back to my summary page. You can also click within this little graph your outstanding sales. You can see how much is outstanding, what's due, what's currently overdue. I don't have any outstanding quotes or estimates, so they would be noted there as pending. And again, I've not put loads of customers in here, so I can see my top 5 customers, my biggest one there being one I put in yesterday for 17,000. And again, we can look down that list for more. Interestingly, I don't have VAT enabled as such on this Sage file, but I still see that there is a possible value in there. So when I actually enable that properly, then we should start to see our liability becoming due on that page. So I'll just come up to the next one, purchases. Again, we've got our costs, our supply bills that have been entered. If I come down a little bit, we can see outstanding, so nothing that's overdue, what's currently due, top suppliers, top creditors. Not quite 100% sure. I suppose suppliers and creditors could be the same thing. I'm guessing you might pay for things directly, so it comes to supplier, and I'm guessing this if it goes through the accounts payable, trade creditors, and we also have the VAT return on this page. Maybe you've got whether it's payable or refundable. Possibly. Again, I don't know that until I come to take a look at that properly at some point. So this is pretty useful. What I do quite like here is that we can see a breakdown of our costs. Again, I've not got, this is like a sample testing file, so I don't have a huge amount here, but I can see my cost of sales, director's loans, main cost, computer software, and other within there. So that's again, that's quite nice. Now if we come into the next tab over, we've got our cash flow statement, so we can see our opening balance, what's come in, what's gone out, other receipts, other payments, closing balance, and the flow for the period, our ending balance. So again, you can run that over different date ranges. There it looks like I've got a report which I can also download as well. Now if I come over to the cash flow forecast, then this will calculate not only your opening balances, but you've got your unpaid customers, unpaid suppliers. So we're going to start taking a look at when they will be due. And what you can also do is, so I've got my expected customer receipts over the next sort of 30 days, and you can make manual adjustments. So let me see if I can just make a little manual adjustment for that. So if I was to put in, so where are we? If I put something in for, let's say the 17th of October, if I put loan in, let's put 25,000. See what that does. So I took save against that. There we go. So I can see by putting in that loan, my cash flow should be going up. And if I look at my manual adjustments for payments, so I'm going to put in a payment. Let's put that one on, say the 24th of October. So if I put that in for the 24th of October, let's just call that car, and let's put that 15 and save. So then I should see a little dip down. Yeah, there we go. So I can see cash coming in and then a dip coming back down. So that, again, pretty easy. First time I've actually used that feature, to be honest. So that looks pretty straightforward. What's we got up here? Yeah, so I can see that's actually picking up. I've got two accounts in Sage. So I've got my current account, which is connected, and also got a petty cash account. So you could obviously deselect those if you only want to monitor a particular account. All right, so that's our main summary page when we log into Sage. So let's take a look at what we have in Zoho Books now. All right, so in Zoho, logged in, you land at your home page. And your home page is made up of these tabs: dashboard, getting started, announcements, and recent updates. I'll come back to the dashboard after looking at some of these other tabs. So you've got your getting started, which is putting your settings in. I'll put most of them in. I'll just see what happens if I do just click mark as completed, whether it removes the tab. There's some other things that I can do. That's quite handy if I need to configure the chart of accounts, and it's just opened up some other settings on that page, so that's pretty good. Any announcements? Not 100% sure. Never miss an announcement. This tab is your one-stop hub to keep track of latest events. Obviously nothing to come through at the moment. What I did notice was quite useful is this recent updates. So if you're like me and you get an email that says something's been updated, chances are you're not going to read it or you miss it. You've got too many other things to do. But what could be handy, which you just logged in here, what's been recently updated. So I think that's quite a nice touch actually. So I could just scroll through there and see what's recently been changed, and it's just there in one place. So yeah, I do quite like that. Right, back to the dashboard. So what I can see is at the top my total receivables, money due from customers, money due out to suppliers under payables. And if I hover over that, if I click on it, it takes me back, or takes me into a detailed list of my invoices. So that's pretty good. I'll just come back to the home page, and if I click on the overdue, breaks that down into how many days each one's overdue. And if I actually click on, let's say, that 1,000, 16 to 30 days, that filters that list, so I only see that one customer. So that's pretty handy and very easy, I've just found. Exactly the same thing with your suppliers, so I could click on that and that will drill down. If I click on the overdue and look at that 16 to 30 days, again, I've got a filtered list there of my suppliers which are overdue in that area, and that was very quick. And again, I've not actually spent a lot of time on this. So below that then we have our cash flow. So this is just really a statement of cash flows. This isn't a forecast. But again, nonetheless, it's pretty useful. I can sort of see, what's happened on each of these, within each of these monthly periods. And I can see that's broken down on each month by my opening balance, what's come in. Can I drill down on that? No, I can't drill down on that. I can from over here, I think. Can I? No, I can't drill down onto those figures. Oh, cash on hand. That will actually display like a cash flow statement. I did have a very quick look at that yesterday, and I can drill down to some of those values. I think the net income will take me to my net profit and loss. And let's actually just see what happens if I click on the accounts receivable. It just looks like it's showing, it's how that's made up, a list of invoices and customer payments. Again, if you want to drill down into that information, that's pretty handy. If I just scroll down a little bit further, what we have is our income versus expenditure. Again, if I click on this graph, that actually takes me to your sort of profit and loss report. And if I just come back to the home page, just come back down again, this looks a bit similar to what I've just seen. So again, I can click down into one of those segments in the pie chart, and that drills down. And if I just come back again here, if you click on cost of sales, I didn't mean to do that. Again, you've got a breakdown. I think if I actually, if you hover over those sections, they just come out a little bit. And you can, as I did, you can see if you click in, then you've got the full breakdown of those. So again, that's quite nice. I can see cost of sales, telephone expenses, so all my payments sort of broken down. Then I've got a summary of my bank and credit card balances, and also a link there to go in and categorise. I've got some uncategorised transactions. I don't have any projects set up, so if I had to set up some projects, again, you can add them to a watch list. What I did yesterday, when I had a very quick look at this, is there is an option within your chart of accounts. So you can set up a chart of account code or edit a chart of account code, and there's a little box to say, add this to your watch list. So I just did this for this one account, and there's nothing in there at the moment. But I'm guessing if I had entered some charges to that account, or you've got another, perhaps loan balance or whatever you might want to put in here, you could then review that and see what the actual balance is against that category. So that's useful if you want to keep your eye on a particular account. So there you have it. There is your sort of dashboard within Zoho Books. Yeah, some useful stuff in there. Okay, so I've logged into FreeAgent, and what I have noticed actually is, so yesterday I did have a banner at the top about my settings, which I had marked as completed, and now I no longer see that. And I log in, the first thing I do see is the overview, and it is actually nice and clear, because it's something that you just don't sort of overlook, really, to be honest, when you do log into it. So I do like that. At the top, you've got your cash flow. You can change the period at the top there. And you can do that period change. I think you'll spot that on all of the software options. If you hover over each month, you've got your sort of a summary there of your income or your expenditure that you can see as a value. You can't drill down onto that, but I don't think you really do need to. It's just useful to see. You've got your incoming, outgoings, and the current balance there of cash as we stand. And well, no, that's not quite true. That's not the balance of cash. That's your total cash flow out, I should say. Now below that, what we have is sort of our income, if you like. You've got this invoice timeline, so you can see. Again, it's just a testing file, so I did have some invoices dated May, and I've put a few more in recently, and if you come to the next tab, you can see how those invoices are sort of made up. You can look at more invoices, and you've got all the invoices there, and some are paid and some are unpaid. I'll just come back to my overview. I haven't created it. Oh, I did create one estimate. I said I haven't created it, so I must have created one at some point. So I've got one there that's approved. You can actually convert that into an invoice if I were to click on the estimate. I've also got some projects, so I did create one as a little quick test, and just to sort of find out what this time slips meant. So you can start recording some time. So I just put some time in yesterday, and that's showing as sort of, possible time to be billed at some point. So again, pretty useful if you are recording time. Just to the right of that, you've got your banking overview. It could either be for all accounts. I've only got the one account in there, so it's just a business account. So I can see how my cash flow. Yeah, so that's the reflection of that 20 minus 27, because you've got sort of 30 up here, and now minus 27. Now we're at 3 there. If I go to view all of the bank accounts, if you did have more than one bank account, they'd all be listed there, and you'd see that cash flow. I'll just come back to my overview, just come down a little bit. I don't have any sort of expenses there to show. I've got any bills. Yeah, I've recorded a few things as bills, so they're visible for me in that area. And then if I just come over to the right again, we've got profit and loss and tax timeline. So your profit and loss, so my income, expenses and operating profit, less drawings. Now, one thing I did notice when I set up at FreeAgent, right at the beginning, it asked you what type of business you are, whether you were a sole trader, limited company. It said that once that's set in place, you can't change that. And I sort of understand that reasoning now. To begin with, I thought, why is that? But it does make sense. So you've got to make sure that you do set it up correctly. But it's important because, so if you're a sole trader, the way that your accounts are prepared is a lot different to a limited company, and you've got to make sure that you adjust for your drawings appropriately as a sole trader. It does affect your carried forward profits against your sort of current account as a sole trader. So that does make sense. What you can also see, so from this profit and loss tab, if you go to view the full report, so I've got 22,000 drawings, 22,000 operating profit, and if I go to view the full report, we can scroll down, we can see, that's made up of 22,000 operating profit, and there's £22,000 worth of drawings within there as well. I'll just come back to the overview. Again, referring back to setting this particular file up as a sole trader, I can see there's a tax timeline on here as well. So you can actually create your self-assessment tax return in here. I'm not sure if I can submit it, but I've not looked at it. I just very, very quickly had a bit of a play yesterday just to see if I could get some value appearing in here, which I have now at the moment. So I can see that my next tax return would be due 31st of January. I've got a balance in payments, just some national insurance, because I've just whacked some figures in there. And again, that's quite handy. From a sole trader's perspective, they're logging in. They should be able to sort of see what tax return is likely to be payable. Hopefully, again, as long as they've got their bookkeeping up to date and correct. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's again very simple, but I think pretty clear and easy to to review the figures that are needed. So yeah, I pretty like the layout of that, and you can't miss it when you log in. So that's FreeAgent. So we'll move over to Xero next. Okay, so we're logged into Xero next, and the first place you land is your dashboard. First option at the top there, so that's where you always land on the dashboard as you log in. Now, when I did set up this file initially, right at the beginning, I'm sure I didn't see the option to import customer invoices or import bills. Whether it's there and just out of the way or hidden, I'm not sure. But I have noticed it once I've clicked on the subscribe, and I'm actually paying for some of these licenses for a while. I now see the option to import my bills and also some customer invoices. I'm just going to dismiss that option. Now, within your dashboard, you can actually edit it. So if I go to the option here to edit the dashboard, so you can see the tiles that are available and whether you want to display them or not. So I don't want to display sort of the apps or even perhaps the tax and reporting. I'll leave that there for now. You can remove them, and I should be able to sort of drag these boxes around a little bit. If I move that over to the left and perhaps move that one over up to the right a bit and save the changes, so you can move your tiles around a little bit if you wish. So I can see from what I have at the moment, I've got my bank account, and I can click on the bank account. In fact, if I do that, I go click on the bank account, where I can come in and carry on. I've got some entries left here to reconcile, so I could go back in and do that. I'll just come back to my dashboard. I've got bills that I need to pay. So again, if I've got any draft bills or any awaiting payment, again, I can click on the link, and that's going to give me details of what I ought to be paying by now. Again, I'll just come back to the dashboard. An account watch list. So we can see that we can create a watch list in Xero. So I'm not who had it first, but I've seen it in a couple of places now. So again, you can create that watch list against an account category. So I can see I've also got a budget in there that I set what I paid this month and what my year-to-date costs are in there too. So yes, that's pretty good, the account watch list. And over to the right bit, I've got my total cash in and out. So if I actually hover over those, we can sort of see what came in, went out, and what the difference in cash flow is over those periods. And if I actually click on those graphs, that actually takes me to my sort of little cash flow report, where I can see my opening balance, cash received, cash spent, closing balance. And again, it looks like I've got the option to drill down into the details of that, which is nice. Back to my dashboard. What else have we got? So I've got invoices that are owed to us. I've got a shortcut there to create another invoice. I've got nothing in draft, one overdue. If I click on the overdue, again, that filters that list as expected, really. So back to my dashboard, and then we've got over to the right, I've got tax and reporting here. So again, I've got a link for the VAT return, even though I don't have VAT switched on. I've got a link for the profit and loss, and that will take me to my profit and loss based upon my financial year at the time. So again, I'll just back to the dashboard. So that's our dashboard in Xero. Again, pretty useful, easy for me to sort of work out how to do different things in there with no training in there whatsoever. So yeah, pretty good. So let's have a look at what we've got in QuickBooks Online. Okay, so I've logged into my QuickBooks file. Now, what is interesting is that within QuickBooks, you've got the option of editing your menus, what you see down the left navigation, and you can also bookmark some of your options as well. And I did actually edit the dashboard menu so that it was actually hidden from view, but you still land on the dashboard when you log in, and your dashboard, if that was hidden, is within this sort of more menus there. So you always land on the dashboard, whatever. And I've also marked the dashboard as a bookmark as well. So if I was to select the dashboard up the top, in my bookmarks area, I can see it there too. Within your dashboard, again, it's made up of a series of tiles and graphs, including your sort of setup checklist. You can customize this layout. So in fact, I'm going to choose this option here to customize. If I do customize that, I'm going to remove that one. And actually I'll remove the shortcuts because I never use those. I'll just use the main menus. And let's have a move around of some of these other ones as well. So I'll move the profit and loss over to the top and my bank accounts there as well. And I'll move that cash flow trend over too. All right, I'll save that. And yeah, that's a little bit better now. So I've got my profit and loss and my bank account. So let's just take a look at some of these tiles that I have left. So if I look at my profit and loss, again, I can change the period that I want to look at that graph over. I'll just leave it to this year. And if I click on the little graph itself, that opens up your profit and loss report for the same period. So I'll just come back to the dashboard. I've got my bank accounts. Again, I've got a shortcut there to review my entries. If I've not brought everything up to date, it takes me into the bank transactions area where I can choose to update that. So that's all good. I'll just come back to my dashboard. Again, I can see how my expenses have been made up over the last 30 days here. Again, I can change that option there to, let's say, this quarter. And if I hover over the graph, so we can sort of see if I hover over that, that's made up of subscriptions, that's made up of rent. And if I actually click on rent, that should take me into the transactions there for rent as it does. So let me just come back to my dashboard. Move over to the right. So I've got unpaid invoices and paid invoices that made up of overdue and not quite yet due. So if I click on my overdue, £1,103, that will bring up my unpaid and overdue invoices that are there. In fact, that's just taking me to the main invoices, where then if I click on overdue, that will then filter that list down a little bit more. Now if I just come back to my dashboard, we've got our cash flow trend, so we can sort of see again how that's reflected each month, money in and money out. So money in the green. Again, I've not got a huge amount of data in here, so but yeah, that's working as expected. I've got money in, money out, cash balance, yeah, just shown there as a slightly different graph. Sales, let me change that down to this quarter. And if I click on the graph itself, that's now brought up my sort of sales by customer area in there. So I'll again just come back to my dashboard. Mileage, if you're using the mobile app and recording your mileage, then you'll have your potential deduction for mileage claims visible within here. Now I can see I've also got some tasks and reminders. So I've got tasks, I've got some remind me about some customers, I've got some unpaid bills, so I've got those which I could take a look at, and I've got one overdue bill to pay a supplier. If I click on go, that will open up my unpaid bill area there. So let me just pop back to my dashboard. So that and a bit further down again, we've got our accounts receivable and accounts payable. So to tidy that graph, that up and move those up a little bit. And if I were to look over my accounts receivable, 2 to 6 months, Can I click within that? Go to report. There we go, go to report. We'll bring up my accounts receivable aging summary, and I'm pretty sure the same thing is going to happen if I come down and look at my accounts payable aging summary. Yeah, just as I expected, really. Now, what I probably would suggest, I think, if you are using this main page, really take a look at what would be most important to you, because it wasn't until I actually came down past that one after playing around with it, I thought, oh, I've got 2 more graphs. So again, I would look at customizing this layout and make sure that my really important stuff, which might be my accounts receivable, comes up a little bit higher, and my accounts payable, move that up there too. And probably don't really need the mileage one as an important one at the moment. And I'll replace that one there. So now if I save that, now that looks more, that's, yeah. So something I would bear in mind if I was going to use this a lot is just, and maybe I should, but I just don't at the moment. But you forget about some of these things because you're sort of focused on doing what it is you need to do, and then you sort of can overlook some of these graphs. Mainly as an accountant, because you probably don't come in here that often. You just come in here to run a trial balance and run a profit loss report, and then you forget about some of these other neat things that are here to help, but potentially the customer, the client, really. All right, cool. And now one other thing that you do have, because it's part of your dashboard, it's split into 2. So you've got your home where you've got these tiles, but you've also got your planner. So this is for cash flow forecasting. This will actually take a look at historical movements. I've got hardly any transactions in here, so it's not going to start doing much in the way of predictions, but it will also look at outstanding balances as well. I did import some invoices, and most of them are shown as overdue. Now, as it's showing here, I can update those, because if they're currently showing as a due date of July, I could go within those and say, well, actually, let's just change that to be October, and update that. I'll update a couple more and update. Let's do one more. Update those, and I could go through that list or either remove. If I don't think I'm going to get paid at all, I could remove it from the list. So I'll just click done. Now that's actually going to increase what I'm expecting to come into my bank over the next sort of few months. So I can sort of see, well, the amounts are very small, but if I hover over that, I can see money in 48. And a bit later on, I've got another 57.60 there coming in, and that's all based on these values that we have a bit further down. You can add further transactions, so I could say, well, I am actually expecting, let's say, a loan. So I think I did this in one of the other ones, and let's put 25,000 in there. And that's a one-time. You've also got one-time as a repeating payment, so I could choose to save. And let's put a payment in. So let me add a transaction. It's time for money out. I'll change that a bit further forward. And then save. Now I can see a payment going out as planned, and if I look, we can see our cash flow going up when the money comes in, and we can also see the money coming down as the payment is going out. All right, so that's again a useful tool for doing some very, very sort of pretty basic sort of cash flow forecasting. All right, so that is your dashboard in QuickBooks Online. Okay, so we have looked at dashboards and summary information in Sage Accounting, in Zoho Books, in FreeAgent, in Xero, and in QuickBooks Online. And in most cases, a lot of the information is very similar. As you'd expect, really, you've got graphs for your profit and loss, how your cash flow movements have worked, your unpaid customers and unpaid suppliers, and shortcuts to that information. With Sage and QuickBooks Online, you also had some additional cash flow forecasting tools which weren't available in all of them. And in Xero and in Zoho Books, you also had the accounts watch list, which can be useful if you want to keep your eye on a particular account category. FreeAgent had that, reminders of when your next tax payments were due, and that's a really nice feature for, especially for small sole traders, to have that sort of visibility available to them to keep an eye on what tax is payable. So that's nice. All right, so that is your accounts dashboard. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you find this information useful. Thank you for watching.